Hi guys, welcome back. All right, this hopefully will be our last chunk of chapter 4. So Abuelita just gave Esperanza her crocheting kit. I promise, she said, and you promise to take care of Mama for me. Next, it was Mama's turn. Esperanza could not watch. She buried her head into Orticia's shoulder until she heard the wagon pulling away. Then she went to Mama and put her arms around her. They watched the wagon disappear down the path until it was a speck in the distance, until even the dust was gone. That's when Esperanza noticed the old trunk with the leather straps that the nuns had left. What is in the trunk? She asked. Our papers to travel and clothes from the poor box at the convent. The poor box? People donate them, said Mama, for others who cannot afford to buy their own. Mama, at a time like this, must we worry about some poor family who needs clothes? Oh, Esperanza, said Mama, we have little money, and Hortensia, Alfonso, and Miguel are no longer our servants. We are all indebted to them for our finances and our future. And that trunk of clothes for the poor, Esperanza, that is for us. Senor Rodriguez was the only person they could trust. He came after dark for secret meetings, always carrying a basket of figs for the grieving family to disguise his real reason for visiting. Esperanza fell asleep each night on a blanket on the floor, listening to the adults' hushed voices and mysterious plans, and smelling that plentiful piles of white figs that she knew would never be eaten. At the end of the week, Esperanza was sitting on the small step to Hortensia and Alfonso's cabin when Tio Luis rode up. He remained on his horse and sat Alfonso to bring Mama. In a few moments, Mama walked toward him. Drying her hands on her apron, she held her head high and looked beautiful, even dressed in the old clothes from the poor box. Luis, I have considered your proposal, and the interest of the servants in Esperanza, I will marry you. In due time. But you must begin replanting and rebuilding immediately, as the servants need their jobs. Esperanza was quiet and stared at the dirt, hiding the smirk on her face. Tio Luis could not contain his grin. He sat up straighter. I knew you would come to your senses, Ramona. I will announce the engagement at once. Mama nodded, almost bowing. Mama nodded, almost bowing. One more thing, she said. We will need a wagon to visit Abuelita. She is on the convent in La Purísima. I must see to her every few weeks. I will send one over this afternoon, said Tio Luis, smiling. A new one. And those clothes, Ramona, they are not fitting for a woman of your stature, and Esperanza looks like a waif. I will send a dressmaker next week with some new fabrics. In the nicest way possible, Esperanza looked up and said, Thank you, Tio Luis. I am happy that you will be taking care of us. Yes, of course, he said, not even glancing at her. Esperanza smiled at him anyway, because she knew she would never spend a night in the same house with him, and he would never be her stepfather. She almost wished she would be able to see his face when he realized that they had escaped. He wouldn't be grinning like a proud rooster then. The night before the dressmaker was scheduled to come, Mama woke Esperanza in the middle of the night, and they left with only what they could carry. Esperanza held a valise filled with clothes, a small package of tamales, and her doll from Papa. She and Mama and Hortensia were wrapped in dark shawls to blend in with the night. They could not take a chance of walking on the roads, so Miguel and Alfonso led them through the grape rows, weaving across Papa's land toward the Rodriguez's ranch. There was enough moonlight so that they could see the outlines of the twisted and charred trunks, the burnt-out vines rolling in parallel lines toward the mountains. It looked as if someone had taken a giant comb, dipped it in black paint, and gently swirled it across a huge canvas. They reached the fig orchard that separated Papa's land from Senor Rodriguez's. Alfonso, Hortensia, and Miguel walked ahead. But Esperanza held back and pulled on Mama's hand to keep her there for a moment. They turned to look at what else to see El Rancho de la Rosa in the distance. Sadness and anger tangled in Esperanza's stomach as she thought of all that she was leaving. Her friends and her school, her life as it was once, and Abuelita. And Papa. She felt as though she was leaving him too. I want you guys to connect right there. Have you guys ever felt like you've left somewhere that you've had to leave, or people, or places? I know I've moved a lot and I've had to leave a lot of people and friends behind. As if reading her mind, Mama said, Papa's heart will find us wherever we go. Then Mama took a determined breath and headed toward the sprawling trees. Esperanza followed her, but hesitated every few steps, looking back. She hated leaving, but how could she stay? With each stride, Papa's land became smaller and smaller. She hurried after Mama, knowing that she might never come back to her home again, and her heart filled with venom for Tio Luis. When she turned around one last time, she could see nothing behind her but a trail of splattered figs she had resentfully smashed beneath her feet. That was the end of chapter 4. So going back, as I read that, I asked you to try to identify some figurative language as I was reading to you. I did point out some of them, but there was a lot more. So I sure hope you were able to find them and hear them. And then I wanted you to think about, why did the author use that figurative language? How did it help the story? How did that expression bring that story together, make that connection? And then you were supposed to find days, or listen for days, poverty, discreetly, and determined. I know I pointed out a couple of them, but I don't think I pointed out all of them. You will have some assignments on chapter 4 that are also posted. Good luck, and let us know if you need anything. Thanks, guys. Bye.